At 7:45 a.m., a yellow school bus sat sideways at the entrance of my neighborhood, wheels spinning on pure ice, kids staring out the windows like it was a zoo exhibit. Across the street, a nurse was screaming into her phone because she was about to miss a surgical shift, and somehow everyone's eyes landed on me. And the one person who caused the whole mess, our homeowners association president, was nowhere to be found. I'm Mike Lawson, and I live in a little subdivision called Willow Creek Meadows, the kind of place with matching mailboxes, identical porch lights, and people who wave like they're auditioning for a brochure. The catch is, our roads are private, which means the city doesn't plow them, and if the snow hits hard, we're basically on our own. I'm not some hero, okay? I just happen to own an old Chevy with a plow blade I bought off a guy on Craigslist, and the first winter I moved in, I realized if nobody cleared the street, nobody was going anywhere. So I did what made sense. When the forecast called for a dump, I'd wake up early, fire up the truck, and make a few passes before people needed to leave. At first, the neighborhood loved it. I'd get thank you texts, a couple gift cards, and the occasional, "You're a lifesaver" from someone late for work. Then Diane Whitmore became president of the HOA. Diane was the type of woman who didn't walk up to you. She approached like she was about to issue a citation. Perfect hair, perfect nails, perfect tone that somehow made good morning sound like a warning. Her whole thing was community standards, not safety, not practicality, standards. It started small. A notice about porch decor, a reminder about trash bins, a passive-aggressive email about non-approved lawn ornaments. And then one morning after a light snow, I'm out there at 6:10 a.m. doing my usual loop when I see her storming across her driveway in a robe like she'd been waiting by the window. She steps right up to my truck and bangs on the glass like I'm a criminal. I crack the window and she goes, "Do you know what time it is?" I'm like, "Yeah, early. That's kind of the point." She points at her wrist like she's a judge. "Quiet hours are in effect. You're disturbing residents." I glance around at the dark houses, the untouched snow, the empty street. Diane, the school bus comes at 7:45. People have jobs. She hits me with the tight smile. Someone complained. Who, I ask, and she goes without blinking, "Confidential." That was my first real taste of it. Not a conversation, a power move. 2 days later, I get an official letter from the homeowners association. Not a friendly note, an actual notice with bold text citations and the kind of formatting that screams, "I enjoy this." New rule: no gas-powered equipment before 8 a.m., no exceptions. And then, like a cherry on top, the fines. $250 the first time, $500 the second, and legal action after that because, of course, I just sat there staring at the paper like, you have got to be kidding me. This wasn't some guy leaf-blowing on a Saturday. This was the only thing keeping the entire neighborhood from becoming an iced-over parking lot. I tried to do it the right way. I talked to neighbors, Jake, the nurse, Emily, with 2 little kids, Tara, who ran the neighborhood Facebook group, even Ryan, the quiet lawyer, who usually avoided drama like it was contagious. We put together a petition. Not angry, not petty, just simple. Let Mike plow early when there's heavy snow because people need to get out. 23 houses signed, in a neighborhood of 30. That's basically a landslide. We sent it in polite as can be, and Diane replies with 2 sentences. The board discussed it. The rule stands. Next meeting is in February. Agenda is full. February. Like snow, politely schedules itself. That's when I realized something. This wasn't about noise. It was about control. Then the big storm hit. The forecast was using words like historic, which is weatherman code for good luck, everybody. By 5 a.m., my front porch looked like the inside of a freezer and the street was already disappearing. My hands were on my keys. I could have cleared the whole road in 45 minutes easy. But that letter was sitting on my kitchen counter, and I could practically hear Diane's voice in my head saying, "Legal action," like she was hoping I'd give her a reason. I wasn't spiraling, I wasn't being dramatic, I was doing math. If I plowed, she'd fine me. If I fought it, I'd spend months in paperwork. And either way, I'd be the guy the HOA decided to make an example out of. So I made the choice I hated. I waited. At 6:30, my phone started buzzing. At 6:31, it became non-stop. "Mike, you out there yet?" "Dude, I can't get out of my driveway. My kids have school. What's happening?" I kept my replies short because anything longer sounded like an excuse. HOA rule. No plowing before 8, I'll go at 8. Some people understood. Some people absolutely did not. Jake called me directly, and when I heard his voice tight-strained, I just stared at my ceiling like it might hand me a solution. "Mike," he said, "I've got a surgical shift. If I'm late, I'm done." I wanted to say, "I'll be right there." I wanted to grab the keys, fire up the truck, and just do what needed to be done. But then I pictured Diane, warm inside her house, watching for that engine to start like she was waiting to hit send on a fine. And I had this ugly practical thought: if I get buried under HOA penalties, nobody gets plowed. Ever. So I told Jake I'm sorry. 8 o'clock. And when I hung up, I just sat there feeling like the neighborhood's punching bag. By 7:40, people were outside. Not walking, waiting. I saw headlights, stuck tires, spinning, a couple guys out with shovels, doing absolutely nothing against the kind of snow that laughs at shovels. And then right on schedule, the school bus showed up. It made it maybe 20 feet into the entrance and stopped like it hit a wall. The driver tried rocking it forward, then backward, and it just sank deeper. Kids were watching. Parents were yelling. Somebody shouted, "Mike, what the hell?" And I pointed straight at the HOA notice taped inside my front window. "Go ask Diane," I said. "This is her rule." That's when the twist happened. At 7:55, Diane's garage door opened. Out rolls her white SUV, creeping down her driveway like she's making a grand entrance. She makes it halfway before she gets stuck behind another car that can't move, and suddenly she's trapped in the same mess as everyone else. And she steps out, boots sinking, arms flailing, like this is the neighborhood's personal attack on her. "What is going on?" she snapped. "Why hasn't anyone plowed?" A neighbor, one of the quiet ones, just looked at her and said, "Because you banned it before 8 o'clock. Diane's face did this little glitch, like her brain was trying to reject reality. She whips her head toward my house and locks eyes with me. And for a second I felt that familiar pressure, like I was supposed to fix everything while she stood there judging. But I didn't move. I looked down at my watch, 7:59, and I waited. At exactly 8 o'clock I walked outside, slow, calm, and loud enough for everyone to see I wasn't hiding. I scraped the windshield once, twice, took my time, not to be cruel, to make a point. Then I fired up the truck. The engine roared, the blade dropped, and I started pushing snow like I was carving a path through a bad decision. I cleared the entrance, first got traction under the bus, and the driver finally pulled free. As the bus rolled past, the driver leaned out and said, "Ma'am, this isn't on him." And Diane just stood there blinking while the entire neighborhood watched her authority evaporate in real time. That afternoon, the Facebook group exploded. People weren't asking for favors anymore. They were demanding answers. Emergency meeting, recall vote, bylaws. Suddenly everybody was an expert in homeowners association procedure, and honestly, good. Friday night the clubhouse was packed. Standing room only, people pressed near the doors like it was a courtroom. Diane sat up front with her little binder trying to look unbothered. But the vibe was different now. Ryan stood up calm as a metronome and said, "Rules are supposed to keep residents safe." This rule did the opposite. Then he held up a stack of papers. "And we have enough signatures to move forward with a recall." Diane snapped, "I've received multiple complaints." Someone yelled, "From who?" "Confidential," she said again like it was her favorite word. And that's when the room turned. Not angry chaos, more like a collective exhausted decision. Diane tried to talk over people, tried to posture, tried the classic "I'm the president" like that meant she was untouchable. But bylaws don't care about tone. Signatures don't care about tone. And reality definitely doesn't care about tone. The vote happened. Diane lost. And because Diane couldn't just lose normally, she went nuclear after that. She tried to file a lawsuit claiming harassment, tossed around some ridiculous number like 50 grand, and it got thrown out so fast it barely felt real. Then she made one last move, called the police with a story that didn't add up. It backfired hard. In the end, the only official document that mattered was the one telling her to stop contacting me, and to stop trying to weaponize the neighborhood like it was her personal stage. The story ends right there at the moment Diane Whitmore finally understood the difference between being in charge and being accountable. Lesson: if someone uses the rules to trap people instead of protect them, the rules need to change, and so do they.